In today's session of Divorce Court, Tyrone thought his marriage to Maryetta would last forever. But after 4 months, the marriage was on the rocks. He moved out, and that's when the trouble really started.
He moved out, and I was messing with somebody else, and in this time period, I got pregnant.
She told Tyrone the baby was his, but a paternity test revealed that she was lying.
Did you tell him that he may not be the father of this child?
No, she never told me that.
I told him that I was pregnant, and I was not sure who the father was.
I stayed with her and took care of her for 9 months, thinking that that child was mine.
I knew in my heart that it wasn't his child.
Now Tyrone says he can't live with the pain of Maryetta's betrayal, and he's here to face her in today's session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
This is the matter of Tyrone Pearson versus Maryetta Pearson. I'm advised that the two of you were married for 4 months and then separated. And since then, there has been a series of separation for the last 3 years and attempts at reconciliation, leading to your last separation about 2 months ago. From this volatile marriage, 1 child was born, and Mrs. Pearson has 2 other children. You're fighting over a 1991 Chevy Lumina. Mr. Pearson, why do you think you should have this car?
The reason why I think I should have the car, Your Honor, is because that's my only reliable transportation to work, and I can't afford to pay no taxi cab, and I think I suffer enough by paying for a kid that ain't.
The fact that I'm paying a cab shouldn't be more important than why he should be running in a brand new car, and I don't have a car, and I have
1991 Chevy is a brand new car?
Well, to him, he just bought it, and I don't have a car at all. So therefore, I'm paying for 3 children that I'm taking care of by myself, and paying a cab, plus paying a babysitter, and he's not helping with that
Paying a cab
either.
for whom?
For me, to get back and forth to work, because I do have to work.
Well, like I said, I think
because he's not paying his child support like he's
I said,
supposed to be
I think I
doing.
paid for enough by paying for a kid that's not none of, I'm taking care of that's not none of mine.
What are you talking about? You're paying for a kid that's not none of yours. What do you
One
mean?
of the other children that she got is we took a blood test about 3 months ago, and it come out find out that was not none of mine.
You thought it was your child?
I thought it was. Yeah, I
That's
thought it was.
his choice to take care of that.
What about this?
That is his choice to take care of that child.
But tell me about
because I told
the
him
child.
he didn't have nothing to do with that child or the other child that I have that's not
The child
his.
is now 1
Well,
year.
when was this child born that he says that you took a blood test 3
When
months
we were
ago?
separated, I got pregnant, and then we got back together.
In one of those separation periods?
Yeah.
Did you ever tell him that this child was his?
I didn't tell him anything.
Yeah,
I
she
never
did.
told
She
him
did.
he
She
was
did
the
tell me
father.
that was
I
mine.
never told him that he wasn't the father.
She told me it was mine.
I don't have to answer to him because
As a matter of fact, I stayed with her even
Stop.
though.
You think you don't have to answer to your husband
No,
when you're pregnant?
when he's
Stop. I'm trying to understand that you have another child. You didn't tell him that he was the father, and you didn't tell him that he wasn't the father.
Exactly.
No.
When he came back, were you pregnant?
No, when he had moved back, and he was staying in my house for a little bit, and then he moved out, and I was messing with somebody else, and then he decided that he wanted to come home, and I messed with him 2 weeks later, and in this time period,
No, she
I got
called for
pregnant.
me to come home.
Did
This
you
other
ever
guy
tell
left
him
her.
that you were messing with someone else?
Yeah, he knew.
Did you tell him that he may not be the father of this
No,
child?
she never
I
told me
told
that.
him that I was pregnant, and I was not sure who the father was.
When did you find out she was pregnant? After you and she got back together, or before you and she got back together?
After me and her had got back together.
So you believe that it was your child?
Yeah, I thought, she led me to believe because she said she didn't know for sure that whose it was until after she made her first appointment with the doctor.
So how
once she
am I
saw
leading
that,
him
once
to
she saw
believe?
the doctor, I went to the doctor
not
appointment
leading
with
him to
her,
believe.
and she told once the doctor gave her due date, she said, "Now I know who the father of my baby is, and it was you." And I stayed with her and took care of her for 9 months, thinking that that child was mine.
Is that right, Mrs. Pearson? Did you go to the doctor and come back and say, now that I know the due date is your child?
Because I went with
Correct,
her to
but
that
then
doctor.
he went to the doctor with me a month later, and the doctor gave another due date, and he's such a big old man, he walked out of the hospital talking about it ain't his child, he don't have to be there. But where was he? Right back in my house.
How did you get back into her house?
Because I had moved out with my mother's and back into my mom's house.
Where you always are.
And I started seeing somebody else, and then she comes over there,
So
threatening
you were seeing someone else too?
threatened to kill herself, and talking about if I didn't come back with her, she was going to have me arrested, this and that.
I
You've
had
been
to
back
go.
and forth
I had
with
to
each
get a
other, I understand.
paternity test done on my youngest child before he would give me a divorce that I've been asking for almost 2 years.
That wasn't
When
the
did
issue.
you
I
find
didn't
out
have the
that
money
this
at the
wasn't
time.
his child?
I knew in my heart that it wasn't his child.
When did you know in your heart that it wasn't his child?
When my baby was when she came out and she was growing day by day.
So it was after her birth you knew that it wasn't his child?
Right.
When did you tell him that it wasn't his child?
She never did.
I never told him.
I asked her the question.
Like
Would you please let her answer it?
Like I said, I never told him the child was his. I never came to him and said, Tyrone,
When did you tell
this
him
is
that
your
it
child.
wasn't his child?
I never did, because why should I answer to him and he's not trying to take care of the one child he has?
You want me to give you the answer to that question? Why you should answer to him?
Yeah, I would.
Because he has a right to know whether that's his child or another man's child.
But I also have a right for him to support the dang child he has with me now.
That's true. Are you working?
Yes, I am. And I've been paying child support ever since the day that my first son was born.
And you've been separated about 2 years.
Yeah, totally. About
and you
2
bought
years.
this car just a couple of months ago.
Just a couple months ago.
He's not telling you that he traded another car in for this car.
When did he trade the other car in?
He just traded in to get the car he has now.
What type of car was it?
It was a 91 Dynasty.
And when did you buy that one?
He bought that February of last year.
Were you separated or together?
Separated.
Are you accustomed to answering questions for her?
Because she's lying.
She hadn't said anything.
I'm talking about before you asked her when was we separated. She's lying about
I asked her when was the 1991 Dynasty purchased, and she had not yet answered.
I'm talking about before that. I'm talking about before that question.
All right, stop. When did you buy the 1991 Dynasty?
He bought the 1991 Dynasty in February of last year.
Were you separated or together?
We were living in 2 different houses, but
so
we were
that's called
legally
separated.
married.
No, I didn't say were you divorced. Separated means living apart.
But it has to be some kind of action for it to be separated.
Who said that? When did you get to be the judge?
Oh, I don't have to be a judge. I've been.
Well, you do have to be. Well, you're wrong. It doesn't have to be a legal action filed for you to be separated.
Well, I'm glad you understand that.
No. You're glad that I know that, and I'm helping you to understand that.
When divorce court returns, Tyrone tells the judge about Marietta's disappearing act.
Yeah, she ran off with a man at this place that I had got her a job at. She goes out to a bar one night, and she never returned.
Are you getting divorced? Do you need Judge Maybelline Ephraim's help settling a dispute? If you want to be a guest on Divorce Court, call 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce Court is back in the case of Tyrone Pearson versus Maryetta Pearson. Tyrone says he's had enough and is ready to end this marriage.
Do you think she needs a car with 3 children?
Yeah, I think she needs, but I think she can pay for one of her own.
How long were you driving the Dynasty or the other
I drove
car?
the Dynasty for almost a year. Almost a year and
So
about
you've
4
always
months.
had the car since you've been separated?
Yeah.
For over a year and a half?
Yeah.
And you just
But
simply
she also had the option of using it while even though we was living in 2 separate homes. When she called me, I came and gave her a ride.
Not all. Use a car and you got your girlfriend sitting in the front
not
seat
all
and
the
me
time,
sitting
but
in the back.
I came and
Wait
gave
a
her a
minute,
ride.
that's
And
not-
she ran
When
off
was
with
this
a
other
yes, she
child
did.
born?
She ran off with a man at this place that I had got her a job at. She goes out to a bar one night and she never returned. The next time I see her was 4 months later.
And when I paged him,
let me hear that.
When I paged him
Wait,
to
no,
confirm to come pick me up from my sister's house, he
Let me
wouldn't come
make
pick
sure
me
I'm
up.
understanding this. You got her a job at a factory.
That correct.
She ran off with a man
And
from
she
the
went out.
factory.
She goes out to a bar with her friends on a Saturday night, and the next time I see her was 3-4 months later. When I heard that she had ran off with the guy that I had got her a job.
Hold on. Let me get this straight. He got a job for you at a factory. After getting the job at the factory, which would enable you to work, which would enable you to pay for a car, you met a man, and you went off with yet another man, and you were gone for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds real fishy to me, but let me hear your explanation.
The only way for me to get back and forth to work is to go over where my job is. So I go over there and I stay with a friend of mine, and then me and this guy ended up getting together, and then from there, like a week later, we moved to Davenport.
Did you ever think while you were going away with this man that you met in a week and taking Mr. Pearson's son?
I didn't meet him within a week.
Yes, you did.
That's what you just told me.
Yes, you did.
I said
You
I
ain't been working
moved
there that
with
long.
him within a week.
Okay,
I had
so-
known this man for 4 months.
No, you haven't.
Okay.
No, you
We
haven't.
were talking
No, you
and,
haven't.
carrying on conversations and stuff at work.
But you move away to another city with Mr. Pearson's son.
Right.
And you don't bother to tell him that you're taking his son away.
Right.
You didn't see anything wrong with that.
Because when I tried to get a
You
hold
ain't
of Tyrone,
tried,
he
no.
didn't have time.
For that one day- for that one
I was
week.
going back to this apartment where we stayed at, getting my stuff, slowly, but I was getting it. Well, wasn't no reason for me to go back after that because Mr. Pearson took it upon himself to throw out all my kids' clothes, all my furniture, and all the pots, pans, everything.
You
I'm
guys have
starting
really
from
been
scratch.
acting like two children. You threw
No,
out
no,
all of
I
the
didn't throw out.
furniture
No,
and the
I didn't
clothes.
throw out nothing. The landlord is the pastor of our church. Told me to get in touch with her and told that she had a certain amount of time to come get her stuff. So I passed that message on to the person
Weren't you
that
still living there?
Huh?
Weren't you still living there?
No, I had to move out because I didn't want to pay now another month's rent.
Oh, so when she left with the friend, you didn't want to pay rent anymore.
No, I didn't see no need.
I can't keep up with it. I'm surprised.
He was
that you
not
can't.
living in
She
my apartment.
always
He was coming
wants to
over
say
all the
my
time.
car, my kids, this and that. I'm messing with her. I'm living with her. The point is, when I leave and move back with my mom, who I always been living with, who she's so much jealous of, she should leave me alone. Don't call
not
me,
be
tell me
jealous
that
of nobody.
What makes you think she's jealous of your mother?
Because I do more for my mom than I have ever done
And
for
when
her.
you do it,
Why
She's
would
going-
you do more for
she-
your mother than your wife? I thought the biblical said,
because of how she is. She don't appreciate nothing.
Stop. Did I miss something? I thought the marital vows say you leave the mother and father and cling to the wife. They don't use
It's
that
supposed
anymore.
to be.
It's been a long time since I got
she's
married.
done more for her mother than she has done for me. And she's
You
done
know,
more.
But I'm
problem
not
I
handing my mom $100 every week.
But he hands his mom $100 every
No,
week.
I ain't. How am I
mom
handing
said
her
she needed
$100 every week and I can't afford to pay insurance and let her have a car that ain't even paid for yet?
And she says you're not paying child support either. So
Yes,
I don't know
I am
how
paying
you do
child
that.
support. I got to pay child support or sit in jail. If I wasn't paying child support, I'd be sitting in jail right now.
Let me see what this card looks like. It seems like you have a picture there too, right?
This was purchased. I had to borrow money to purchase this car because the other one went out on me.
Wait a minute. I see a receipt for a 1993 Dodge Dynasty. I don't see a receipt for a 1991 Chevy Lumina. You said you traded in the Dynasty and they gave you a Lumina.
That is the Lumina right there on the picture.
I see the picture, but you told me you had a receipt. The receipt says 1993 Dodge Dynasty.
There ain't no receipt because the
It's
Dynasty
the
was
motor
not.
vehicle purchase contract.
Look at it. It says 91 Chevy Lumina too. Purchase agreement for the 91 Chevy Lumina.
Well, I'm looking at it.
Here, let me see that.
Show it to me. Maybe I can't see too well.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You let me say I can't see too well, but not you. Step back. Step down one more. You're getting too close to me. One more. Now, show me where I'm missing it.
Motor vehicle purchase agreement. Chevy Lumina, 94-door, 91. Purchased by me and Sharon Lloyd.
Sharon Lloyd?
Yeah,
Who is that?
the co-signer.
Did you know that someone else was helping him buy this car?
I sure did.
You did?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and...
What do you propose I do about that? This car is not paid for. And the owner of the car is still the financing company.
Correct.
And if you can't afford it, how are you going to pay for this car?
But it's easier for me to pay the $73 a week that he's paying rather than to find $1,500 to put down on a car. Much simpler.
Okay, and when you put it down on a car, you have to pay a note every month.
Correct. But the company he's going through, that's $73 a week. That's easier to pull out of a check than to pull out $1,500. Now, you explained to me how I still got a child in Pampers and I got 2 very big, healthy kids to feed every month, every week, every day. And I'm supposed to pull $1,500 out, plus clothe them and put shoes on their feet.
What did you do the year and a half that he was driving the Dynasty?
I was calling him, asking him to take his son to the doctor, take his son over here to the babysitter, or pick him up, or whatever. Tyrone can't do nothing for me. Why don't
My
I
question
ask,
is, what did you do for transportation?
catch a cab
Okay. At $40,
a week, if not over, depending on how many times I take my kids to the babysitter. because it cost an extra $1 every stop.
And how long did you do that?
I've been doing it since me and him been split up, on and off.
I think I got the picture. I have more than enough information, and I'm ready to render my decision, and I'll be back with it.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict. And an update on the case of Helen Fields versus Wayne Fields.
I used to love and adore this man. I love this man, Your Honor.
Divorce court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce court is back and the verdict is in the case of Tyrone Pearson versus Maryetta Pearson.
Back in the matter of Tyrone Pearson and Maryetta Pearson. While the court would love to see that Ms. Pearson has transportation for these children, I don't think that I have the authority to order him to turn the car over to you. I know that you're upset that she had a child out of the wedlock while you were married, but that's not why you're going to get this car, because of that. I'm not buying into that argument. Mrs. Pearson, I think that you need to accept a little bit more responsibility, and perhaps you have to get a weekend job or something to take care of a car. Now, I sympathize with you, and I know that you need transportation with 3 children, but you had a little control over having 3 children, particularly that last child, all right? And now that you're back and forth in relationships, one after the other, you're probably setting yourself up for yet another child. I hope not, because you see that it costs to take care of children. But unfortunately, because the car was purchased after the separation, so it's not community property, and more importantly, there's a co-buyer on the car who's responsible for the car as well. And we don't have that co-buyer before the court. So under the circumstances, I'm going to award the 1991 Chevy Lumina to Mr. Pearson. However, you should consider giving her some assistance in trying to get a car with some form of transportation. But in the meanwhile, at least you could assume all of the responsibility for his medical appointments and for transporting him in the event of emergency. I think that is the only fair thing to do. However, I can't order you to do that. That's my judgment. It is so ordered. Court's adjourned.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
When divorce court returns, an update on the case of Helen Fields versus Wayne Fields.
27 years of being with somebody, Your Honor, and they violate you the way I've been violated.
It hurts.
Closed captioning for divorce court provided by. Are you getting divorced? Do you need Judge Maybelline Ephraim's help settling a dispute? If you want to be a guest on divorce court, call 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in divorce court. After 27 years, Helen Fields came to court to end her marriage to Wayne because she said he was cheating.
27 years of being with somebody, Your Honor, and they violate you the way I've been violated.
It hurts.
My God, I keep saying it. Why do you keep doing this to me?
Okay.
I used to love and adore this man. I love this man, Your Honor.
Helen admits that her jealousy got the best of her, and when she saw Wayne's car parked near another woman's house, she smashed the windows.
What type of car?
A Lexus.
A Lexus automobile? You broke out all of the windows?
I was nice. I left the top window and the skylight. I left that. I could have taken that.
You keep talking about the fact that long as he doesn't ride a whore in it, it's okay. Are you saying to me that you would still destroy it if you saw him with, quote, the whore in the vehicle?
Right now, Your Honor, I don't know how to answer that question.
The judge ordered that the Lexus be sold so that the fighting over the car would end. Helen has left her hometown for an extended vacation, and Wayne says that while he knows a divorce is the best thing, he hopes that he and Helen can find a way to be civil to each other.
I was happy with the verdict, but like the judge did make one point, I should help her out with getting the kids and stuff to the babysitter and medical appointment. So I guess we're going to try to work something out with that behalf.
The verdict, it's okay, but you know, I still don't see the point of how I'm supposed to get my child around while he's steady running around with the car. So
it was a rough marriage, but I'd like to see us help raise the kids up in a good environment home. Hope we can be friends.